from the Farlands to the Sky Dimension. Here are 35 things Mojang has ever removed. This is the in-dev house, the place where the player first appeared in older versions of the game. There were many illegal items here stacked at 99. The house was originally made of mossy cobblestone, which was later replaced with oak planks, but unfortunately, the structure was permanently removed. This is a structure you probably have never seen before. It is a giant brick pyramid from the InfDev version, measuring 127 by 127 blocks and 64 blocks high. Interestingly, the pyramid inside was completely filled and could be found in a specific location. In the old version of Minecraft Alpha, it was possible to generate a portal to the Nether. Pressing the F4 key would create a new portal where the player was standing. This was terribly broken and was removed for obvious reasons. Villagers had a secret text above their heads. In Beta 1.9 pre-release 1, each villager had the text Testificate above their heads. This was because the mob was still in testing. Crafting this item is no longer possible, but from version 1.3.1 to 1.8.9, it was possible to craft a notch apple using 8 blocks of gold and an apple. Mojang realized that it was too easy, so the recipe was removed. In one of the snapshots for version 1.15, Jeb accidentally added 2 mysterious textures to the game files. They were wax block and crystallized honey. Both of these things were found in the game files, but since they were added by accident, they were later removed. In one of the first versions of InfDev, long obsidian walls appeared that generated endlessly, and their intersection marked the center of the world. They were helpful in orientation due to the lack of coordinates, but were later removed. Horses had their own unique saddles. Going back in time to snapshot 13W16A, we could see horse saddles. They worked just like regular normal saddles, but were only for horses. However, they were later abandoned and removed. What is this strange flower? It may look similar to a poppy, but it is not. It is a rose flower that we could once find in the game. However, it was removed in version 1.7 and never came back. Was chainmail armor craftable? Before version 1.8, we could obtain fire as an item, which already seems illegal. And the strangest thing is, we could use it to craft chainmail armor. I wonder who came up with this idea. Villages in Minecraft used to look like this. Instead of nice dirt paths, gravel paths were generated, and those weird blocky houses. Thankfully, that's history. In the InfDev version of Minecraft, an image called Fluff PNG was added to the game files. It was initially used for cloud textures, but was removed at the beginning of the alpha version and never came back. In the Minecraft 1.19 update, Mojang introduced various types of goat horns. However, not all of them made it to the game, because copper horns were actually removed. They could be crafted using 3 copper ingots. However, copper horns were removed from Bedrock Edition before the official release of the update and were never added to Java Edition. This is the Nether reactor core. Before one of the old Minecraft Pocket Edition updates, when the Nether didn't exist yet, the reactor allowed players to get things from the Nether, like nether quartz or glowstone. It created a structure made of netherrack, which contained a lot of random items, zombie pigmen, and even glowing obsidian. Pigmen used to drop cooked pork chop. In older versions of Minecraft, pigmen dropped cooked pork chop instead of gold nuggets. So instead of gold farms, players could quickly get a large amount of food. This is a cyan flower. It was added to the old Pocket Edition version instead of the iconic rose. However, in the Pocket Edition Alpha 0.9.0 version, the cyan flower was replaced with a poppy and never returned. According to Jeb, these existed because of a hardware problem where the red color of the rose was inverted to blue. Was the Sky Dimension planned for Minecraft? Back in the beta version, Notch planned to add the Sky Dimension to the game. It was supposed to be the opposite of the existing Nether Dimension, and the only way to get there was by going to sleep. The Sky Dimension concept was later renamed to the familiar The End Dimension. Before the world border was created, there were the Farlands. This was a terrain generation bug that occurred 12 million blocks from spawn. It caused a large, spongy wall of terrain to appear, which definitely looked much better than the current world border. One player even traveled to the Farlands on foot for 9 months, for which he received a donation from Notch himself. Ruby ore was planned to be added to the game. It was supposed to act as currency in Minecraft instead of emeralds. Ultimately, however, the idea was abandoned because Dinnerbone was colorblind and couldn't tell the difference between rubies and redstone. There was a gear in Minecraft? Well, sort of. It was a leaked block that was supposed to be added to the game, but it was later replaced by redstone. Interestingly, the gear could even be placed on walls. What would you rather see in the game? Have you ever seen this cat before? It only exists in the game files and cannot be found in the game. It is the grey tabby cat, which was supposed to appear in the Bedrock Edition. However, its texture was never implemented in the game. When you open the barrel, you will see a blank black texture. However, when the barrels were first added to the Bedrock Edition, there was an unused texture for the fish barrel. Like the grey tabby cat, the fish barrel was also not added. This secret feature actually existed. It was called Super Secret Settings, and it toggled the player between different shader effects. Among them, black and white, color inversion, and even upside down. This feature was added to the game in version 1.7.2 and was removed in snapshot 15W31A. Maybe someone will try try to beat Minecraft upside down, you will never see this cake again. On the occasion of Minecraft's 10th birthday on May 17, 2019, Mojang added a special candle to the cake. However, a few days after the birthday, the candle disappeared forever. Maybe it will come back for the 20th birthday? This is how Pigman was originally supposed to look like. The player Mike Lee came up with the idea for Pigman. He even got a bacon cake from Notch for it. Pigman was originally supposed to live in villages, but he was replaced by villagers. Interestingly, there is still a zombified version in the Nether in the game. Unfortunately, we will probably never see his overworld version again. Dirt slabs were planned to be added to the game in order to create nicer and smoother terrain in the game. However, it had the opposite effect, so Notch decided to remove them instead of trying to fix the problems they were causing. Honestly, it would be useful in the game. In April 2024, the Poisonous Potato update was released. In creative mode, we could see a new tab with many different potato items. One of them was a portal to a new dimension where we could find potato villagers. The whole update was massive, and I highly recommend checking it out. This is the first armor ever added to the game. Plate armor, as it was called, was used during testing of the armor system. Although it looks similar to iron, it did not provide players with any protection. Eventually, it was removed. Enchanting tables used to be completely different. In the old days of Minecraft, the maximum enchanting level was 50. Fortunately, this was changed to 30, and now you don't have to try so hard. Cauldrons were originally meant to be used instead of brewing stands to brew potions. All you had to do was throw the necessary ingredients into the cauldron, and it would change the color of the water. After that, all you had to do was collect the potion in the bottle. It was definitely better than the brewing stand. From Beta 1.8 to Snapshot 14W34C, mysterious dark particles could be seen floating over bedrock. They were known as void fog, and in my opinion, added a unique atmosphere to the gameplay. Unfortunately, they were removed in one of the snapshots for Minecraft version 1.8. The original texture of the crying obsidian was introduced a long time ago in the old beta version 1.3. Initially, this block was supposed to set our spawn point. However, this idea was discarded in favor of a bed. The crying obsidian did not appear in the game until 7 years later in the Nether update, and is still with us to this day. There was an aether dimension in Minecraft. Well, kind of. In one of the April Fool's Day snapshots, we could create a working aether portal, which upon entering, teleported us a few hundred blocks above the clouds. Nice joke, Mojang. Fireflies were announced at Minecraft Live in October 2021. They were supposed to be eaten by frogs to make frog lights. However, this idea was scrapped when Mojang found out that some species of fireflies are toxic to some species of frogs in real life. Interestingly, in Snapshot 25W05A, they returned not as mobs, but as ambient particles from the firefly bush. Over the years, many textures, models, and sounds have been removed or changed from the game. These are netherrack and lava textures, old gravel block texture with oak planks, old bed icons, sponge block and crying obsidian, lapis lazuli and other resource blocks, old boat model without oars, unsaturated wool and shulker box textures, recently changed redstone torch texture, door opening and closing sound, taking damage sound, and OG grass and leaves color on top of the old game start screen. There were so many, and those were the 35 things Mojang has ever removed from Minecraft. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and if you want to learn more cool Minecraft facts, check out this video next.